Good morning and welcome to Options Tender. We're taking a look at SPY, QQQ, IWM, SMH, and VIX all in the daily time frame. And then we'll go around the horn again on the 65. Today, our objective is just to kind of learn and to adjust our trend lines, grab some targets because we can measure out targets on Qs and SMH now. We are potentially getting lower highs at this point. And we'll just talk you through a little bit of extra things. This is an educational channel, and I want to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody behind here. So especially if you're new, we're getting a lot of new members here. So thanks for the support. We're doing this intraday at about 10:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to get these videos during the day. And consider becoming a member of YouTube. That's 99 cents. And you also get trade alerts and stuff with that too. So fantastic. I do apologize for, I was sending my wife off out of town, and I wanted to apologize for, I didn't get the trade alerts out early for the market open. I put on SPY and QQQ puts, and I put that out to the public late, but they're still valid. So feel free. I don't usually put on a bunch of weeklies. It's up to next week, next Friday, the puts are, but the trades are highly probable at this point now that we've made another divergence on the 65 minute. Okay. So enough of that. Let's roll into it. So I have my watch lists out here. I just want to show that real quick. Here's my breadth indicators. This is how I kind of determine what's happening with the market. We are completely complacent with puts and calls. I will post the video for breadth. This is kind of what gives us the strength of the market and what's, if the market's not moving, what's holding it up. So I do this in conjunction with the bonds are very important for their influence on the market, and then big tech, because they hold so much of a percentage of each market. They influence the market as well. So if breadth is very good, but the market isn't moving anywhere, then it's likely that a few or one of these is down quite a bit, or maybe all of Megatech is down, but everything else is up. That would give you kind of even to up breadth, things like that combination. So this is why my watch list is set up this way. The dollar can influence the market, all of these things, and I chart all of these. And so this is a very important list to me. And then below it, and by the way, MJ is my most important chart to me long term at this point. I was talking to a friend, hi Sean, last night about it, how important it is. And then I chart all of these individual names, and a lot of them we have proxies of MJ, you have proxies of gold and silver, and proxies of Bitcoin, because I don't actually trade the crypto individual coins. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out real quick. Let's get into this. And by the way, I do these videos. Sometimes I take some time doing some things. So consider putting the speed on 1.25 or 1.5. I might sound like a mouse, but you'll get the information faster if you are crunched for time. That's a technique that I learned, my wife and I both, because we watch so many educational videos and try to learn over and over. So we have our bearish rising wedge on the daily time frame. We have lots of divergences. What is divergence? Well, we have our traditional MACD here, RSI, and slow stoke. These you can copy. I have these customized. Okay, these aren't the classic settings. The classic settings are fine, but I like to change the time frame appropriately to my trading style. Okay, so these are very traditional indicators. We have our momentum indicator, which as price is going up, the oscillators are getting lower highs. These are getting higher highs in price. So that just shows that the momentum is waning. And throughout this, you'll see you get your, you have your negative divergence here on the MACD. I'm not going to do a whole there's a video on MACD as well, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but you see we had a correction. Nice correction there. So now we get a lower high here, but we still have to get, different divergences and different time frames. So this one was complete, corrected, but overall we have a divergence going on as well. So we had another correction right here, and then you see we get a high, and now we're getting another divergence in this time frame. So this is all adding up to some big downsides. That's what that says. RSI, same thing. Lower high, lower high. Had a good correction, so that's done. We were oversold, came back. Still a lower high. Again and again, a triple divergence right there. That's a 3 peak. That's done. Okay, we are done with the move up. I know I said that a couple times, but that's how I trade. So we put on the members know that we put on alerts for hedges to the upside with QQQ, and last minute I put one contract of SMH to the upside because SMH hadn't corrected yet. And just a brilliant move today in the gap, and took those off immediately at the open. And now we have a divergence in the slow stoch as well. This is a faster moving oscillator that shows us a little bit more action in real time, while this shows us the overall momentum. All right. Okay, I'm not going to go through that with all of them. I just want to go through those indicators. This is a very traditional sense here. We have we look at patterns on the traditional look, and we match them up with the indicators. So this is a bearish rising wedge, had a throw over, broke down, back tested the wedge. So we continued to make a new wedge to new high. Okay, that happens quite often. So this bearish wedge didn't have to continue to the upside, but it did form a new wedge. All right, so this is our other wedge here, and we're back up at the channel top here. So this is where we're rejecting from again. And can it go one more, maybe on a lower time frame, one more, eke out a new high? Sure, but this is options expiration week, and that's important to know. And so things are going to be wild. And I have to warn you to be ready. Either price action can do nothing. Let me show you the weekly. Either it can do nothing and give us a doji candle, and we can continue into next week, or don't get complacent. This bad boy can rip to the downside relentlessly tomorrow if it wants to. Okay. Anything happens in options expiration. QQQ. Now we can move a little bit quicker. The Qs, we had our high. We talked about getting a lower high over and over. This was my area of rejection, but we got over it and had a fake break, retest, and now we're rejecting again. Okay, I'm taking this off. We don't need it anymore. And we're making a lower high. So I think this is a 1 and then a 2. I should have went through this on the daily time frame for the SPY as well. But here's what we're doing. The 887 has given us trouble here. We're rejecting off of it again. That's basically all this is saying. So we have our wave 1 impulse, and then wave 2 correction, and we're getting held up by the moving averages. This is the 8 EMA. So technically we're in a bullish position. I have to put that out there, but we're into hard resistance as well. And so we're still above the 8 and the 20. 20 is our trend. So the trend is still up. We have to break this low here at 486 or 487. Break that low, and now we have a confirmation of a downtrend, at least on the daily and 65. Technically just on the 65 minute. We have to break this low here to consider higher time frame lower highs here. And that's a far ways away to wait for that confirmation. So that's we don't wait for that. Okay, so the reason why I'm going to go back to SPY is because our time relationship is very important. So we already showed yesterday that our time relationship with price matched up to this week getting a reversal. That's happening. We don't have anything else. We had one yesterday. So that was a high, technically, and we're getting a new high today. And so we opened at the opening bell right here at the 138.2% retracement. So that's why I put on the SPY puts immediately, and I'll show you why I did it on the Qs on the lower time frame. So we had this correction here, this ABC for wave 4, and this ABC, which is because we have an ending diagonal, up to, this correction here created our targets. Our main target was 127.2. We rejected off that. That's where I thought the top was. We got above it, held above it, and came right to resistance at the 138. Now I took my hedges off and I replaced them with new puts into next Friday off of this target here. So same thing happens. We're rejecting here. If we start to show strength, if I have any reason to going into the bell, I will add on calls again, just very near term, like tomorrow, for example, if tomorrow is going to be bullish. And if we get over the 586 and hold on to it, just like this one, came above, held the 580, and then went up to the next target. This is a minor target. So same thing happens. We get above and hold on to that 580. Then we're looking at getting up to possibly the 592 or the 599. Ultimate target there would be pretty dramatic. But yeah. But here with the time relationship, we're looking at 1023. So next week, we're looking for something to happen. So if we get a new high into 1023 next week, I believe that's Tuesday, so turnaround Tuesday. So if we have a new high into Tuesday, then we'll be looking for more shorts and adding on to our swings. If we get a low, if tomorrow is relentless and moving, and maybe we come down to test the breakout again, then we'll be looking for a nice bounce after that. Okay, so that's how it goes. That's the time of price. The time won't tell us where price is going, but when price and time come together, we look for a trade. Okay, IWM. IWM is coming into gap resistance. Will we close this gap? Perhaps. So that's, tomorrow, this could remain, this whole rotation, you see what's happening going into IWM. And then today we got the Semiconductor TSM, which gave us a boost in the morning. So we're rotating out of IWM and into tech. And tomorrow we can go back down on tech and up in small caps. And what that could do is, again, make it so our that weekly candle that we showed goes nowhere. And then we get our reversal next week. Okay. So again, this is showing reversal at this point. It can be. So here's what to expect from IWM. I did add some IWM puts. If we get above 226 and hold above it, I'll look to get out of those and scrap those. But right now we're rejecting off the 786, which is where we rejected here. So really, we're just getting a lower high so far. And so this could be drawn out two ways. This can be the high here. Well, let me show you the big picture because this is super important for the market. We had our high way up here. Okay. So we had our high way up here. We had an A, and we're completing B. So an ABC, which is an ending diagonal here, into B. So did B end here? at this top, and then we're just getting an A. Here's an A, B, C for a lower degree A, B, and a short C. That's how that can be drawn out. You see how Elliott wave is speculation. So this can be a lower high, and B can be done here. Now, if we get above 226 tomorrow, into next week, and hold above, then this target, I'll move this, then we could target all the way up here, and then this can be moved to here, and this would be a wave 4 down here, and this would end up being a wave 5. So we moved all that, adjust it. But as of right now, it's rejecting. So it's a good resistance, former resistance here, and there's plenty more resistance back there. But yeah. Yep, so let's go to, just check out the DIA. This is the Dow. So we had this large rising wedge. Clearly we're above it. So what we're going to do, that wedge still, it played a big part. So it'll probably play a part when it comes to the downside. So we're going to keep it there, just to represent. But this is the lower kind of time frame look that we have to pay attention to, that it's another wedge. And so this wedge is going to break down, and then eventually that's going to be a throw over, and this larger wedge is going to break down. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Just a super strength in the Dow, but it's rejecting off of the top of the wedge again, and that's with, once again, divergence after divergence. So this one is equal tops here, and this one just got another divergence here in the daily time frame on the RSI. So that's, if you're long in the market, good luck. If you're short, I think you're in the right place. VIX, and then SMH I didn't do yet. Okay, so the VIX, you see these very important level here at the 19. That's what we're playing with today. So we have this kind of ascending triangle, if you will, on this time frame, and I'll show you the inverse head and shoulder on the 65. But we're holding and we're wicking off of that trend indicator, which is a 20 simple moving average. We're holding and we're getting a reversal doji. I think this move is over in the VIX, and I think we go higher. We break out. We will eventually go much higher here, but I think we build. I think we build higher highs and higher lows. Okay, I don't think it's all on one big spike. These brackets, it's not my work, so I don't talk about those. I am kind of experimenting and learning about time brackets. I think that's going to be huge when I'm able to get that out to you guys. All right, so make sure you stick around this channel. We're only getting stronger through time. So we have our bear flag. We had a throw over on SMH, and we broke down to the 20 and getting a nice bounce. I do think this bounce is going to pivot into tomorrow and give us a lower high. This bear flag, it's still intact, and we're going lower. So let's go around the 65 and see if we can grab some targets. Okay, here's our rising wedge. Hit the top of it again, rejecting. It's going to continue. I don't know if it will, break down more tomorrow or into next week. Tomorrow could be a pretty big move. So I do endorse some lottos if you want to tomorrow, but make sure it's not your main position. That's just too risky because they might just wear you out and theta decay your whole position if you're doing options. So we don't have any targets. We don't have any targets. By the way, this is the 16th, so we're getting another high yesterday going into, I guess technically yesterday was a low. See how that works in low time frames? It's pretty difficult. Maybe we get something into the 18th tomorrow. Maybe we get a new high. I don't know. We have something there, but it's not a cluster, so it's not a real, super important thing here. When we get clusters, when you get a couple time frames together, that's when they are more powerful. So we kind of just observe when you have one. But we don't have any targets because we made a new high. And so there's nothing to base targets off of. But what we do have to pay attention to on this chart is we'll get an impulsive wave to the downside. That's kind of why I think tomorrow will be a big move, because if we're done going up, then we're looking for an impulsive wave. And what better thing to trend on Friday? So we're looking for wave 1 to make new market structure again, okay? And these are just placeholders. That's not where I think it's going to go. And I doubt we're going to get really big corrections, because the Qs and SMH are going to really drag us down. So I don't think we're going to get large corrections. So I wouldn't play too many bounces unless you're just kind of hedging to the upside. We should have a nice big move to the downside, but I don't have any targets. It could make it all the way down to 565, honestly, tomorrow. That's how big of moves that has happened in the past on options expiration. Okay, so here's our wedge. It's actually a bear flag in this case. We couldn't call SPY a bear flag, even though it has the same shape, because it made new highs, but technically they look the same. So we're making a lower high here and kind of playing around there. But now we're getting a 1-2. If we get this lower high and this remains, and we have Netflix after the bell, I think Netflix will be bad. I think it will take the whole tech market down with it. And I'm pretty confident in that move. And that's also the reason why I think tomorrow will be pretty devastating. Now, if Netflix is up and the rest of the market is down, maybe things equal itself out. There's all sorts of scenarios, but there's a potential for tomorrow to be a pretty big move. And I don't care if it does or not. It's next week that really matters. Okay, so here is how we start getting our targets. Let me get rid of some of these. We went up to the 786. Okay, so I showed a little bit yesterday, but now that we have our lower high, not confirmed because we didn't break down this low yet, we have a lower high potential at this point. Okay, so we're going to take the top of wave. This is potentially wave 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and start marking this. Here's wave 1. And potentially wave 2 is done. Now, where's wave 3 going to land? Eyeballing it, this looks like a great spot at 472. I have not done this yet. Let's get a wave 4, and then we'll just borrow these numbers. And then eventually a wave 5. Okay, so let's take our extension tool from the top of wave 1 and extend it to the bottom of wave 1. And then we'll mark it at the top of wave 2. We'll get rid of all these lines here. All we're looking for is the 1.618 is a typical target for wave 3. Can it go beyond? Can it go to 260? Yeah, absolutely. On the volatile stocks can easily hit these 362, especially meme stocks and stuff like that, but this is not. So we potentially are looking for the 162 in this wave 3. So that looked pretty down here, but it looks more like we would hit this 478. That will be our potential move. And then we get into wave 4s and 5s. So we'll have our short-term puts. We will take profit off here and add on to our longer swings. Or we might just take that profit and put it into our bank account, separate from our brokerage account. Okay. So this wave 3, and then you don't typically mess around with wave 4 and 4s and 5s, just let our swings ride. All right. And then our wave 5, since wave 3 will be the longest in that situation, wave 5 can be short or long. It doesn't matter. But we see the former 62% retracement is a good spot. It's a good resistance and support. So potentially, I think we could look like this. 3 here, and that's the 200 moving average on the 65, so the perfect spot. get a 4. It could be a triangle. It could be a flat pattern. And then a dip down to the 473 about. That would be how I think this might play out. Doesn't have to. It can continue lower if it wants to. Okay, but once we get into these lows here with a good support, and you don't want to play around with that. You want to be ready for positive divergences. And now we should get a wave 2. This will be a lower degree 1. And we're looking for, a higher degree 1 from this. We're talking this time frame. Higher degree 1, and then we'll be looking for a retracement for a 2. And then you get a even bigger move to the downside. So we're starting a trend. We're starting to reverse. I spent a lot of time on that, but this is important how we trade. And now IWM potentially, you have this breakout, all these things happening. It could just continue higher, or it could be rejecting off of that point. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but really we'd start to look for this to be some sort of ending diagonal at the end here. So it could potentially go hit those higher targets, and there would be a channel up there, or you could even draw that right here. You could go a little bit higher there. Okay, so a couple different options there. SMH looks bullish. That's how they wipe people out. So yesterday, this bear flag looks good here. Yesterday we talked about we were looking at SMH, and it was down here. That move was extended. It was oversold. It was way oversold. Now we're overbought already, and so there's no way I'm holding long with the overbought. And this, yes, we're getting a buy signal there, but we're in bearish territory. This could roll over. I think it's going to roll over after this. We're already overbought, and we're into retracements. And so we're into the golden ratio, 62%. And now we can get rid of that 50. And now we have a target. So we're holding on to NVIDIA. We're holding on to SOXs. We have calls in SOX, SOXS. And we have SMH puts, all sorts of things. So here's the potential here. This is potentially a wave 1. So we take the extension from wave 1 and pull it back to the top, potential top. It could still even go up more to the 786, but potentially this is the top right here. And then our move would be down to the 229. Our extension. All right, so big move, right? This thing's going to lead the market to the downside. So we're looking to hold on tight to big swings down here, and we're not going to give up our puts until those lower levels. So unless we see something happening other than this in the market. All right, so point this arrow right here. And in the shorter term, that should be our wave 3. And we get some sort of wave 4, sideways move. And then a wave 5 could maybe reach these lows here. This is a good support, previous resistance. So we could potentially see a big move down to anywhere from like 220 to 215. We can look in that in the higher time frames when this starts to happen. And finally, the VIX, we're not going to go DIA. So again, holding that 19 area, very important spot. Also closing the gap. We have a wedge. This wedge has expanded now that we got just a little bit of a low. So it's actually more like a channel. But this was an inverse head and shoulder. You see where the arrows are? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, breakout, back test, boom, move. That's what this is doing. That's what's going to happen here. So that's it. Want to get this out to you. Longer video, but very important information. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Talk to you tomorrow.